Hey there, welcome back to the Mothcast, a podcast about video games and how a couple of moths feel about them. The game for episode 20 is called The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, an interactable narrative fiction experience. So get your typewriter and let's get into the podcast. All right, so The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is the game we played this week.
Yes.
So just at the gate, give me a couple words to describe this game in your opinion.
And basically, to me, it's like an interactive like an interactive book. Like
Right.
you go through a story, and but it's like also like a mystery too. So it's like one of those mystery books that you go that like tells you, go to this page, go to this page. But
kind of like a choose your own adventure.
Kind of, yeah. But like playable.
Right. I guess the best thing that I can the quick description of this game is like very well designed, but maybe too designed. And I'll go into that later. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is a narrative focused game. It says at the very beginning it's a narrative focused game that is not here to hold your hand, I guess is the best way to put it.
It literally does say that in the game too,
correct.
When you start.
And so it is I've heard the term walking simulator thrown around. Regarding this game and others like it.
Did you know you can press shift to run?
I did know that you could press shift to run.
Okay, good, because if you didn't know that, the game would be miserable.
Yeah,
just saying.
Long stretches of walking in a direction is, it would have taken significantly longer.
Although this brings us to our next point, the graphics.
Yes.
They are absolutely beautiful.
Right. So the graphics on high with everything turned up are like genuinely gorgeous. Like,
yeah.
We played the Redux version, which is the remake in the Unreal Engine 4, not the original one from the early 2010s.
Yeah.
And it is like they definitely did it justice. I assume it probably doesn't look too bad.
But here's the thing, the original looks just as good, if not maybe a little bit better in some places.
I did not look.
And that's wild to me because, like, it's from 2010.
Right. Let's see, what year was it actually made?
I think it was
2014. So mid 2010s.
So it was a 2014 game.
I mean, just from the screenshots, it looks very similar to the game that we played.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you're going to make a game like this, like a visual narrative experience, essentially, I would argue that graphics are not terribly important, but they definitely enhance the experience for sure.
Yeah, they did. I would say they are important because if it's going to be like a visual narrative, it's gotta look good.
I suppose. I would argue that
emphasis on the visual part.
Right. Well,
emphasis on the narrative, but you know what I mean.
I don't want to disagree with you too heavily, but I will like slightly in that you can make the most gorgeous game in the world, but if your story is like lacking,
you've said this in the
past.
You can have the like most garbage graphics, but if the story's there, it's a great game.
Right, exactly.
It works vice versa too. If you have, maybe.
Well, I mean, you can be carried by graphics. It just, it might make somebody like me walk away from the game a little bit sour. Pointing directly at Wonder Boy the Dragon Strap. But I mean, I like this is absolutely top marks for the Vanishing of Ethan Carter.
Mm-hmm.
It's in terms of graphics, like I don't know why they needed to remake this game for, you know, in a new engine with new graphics. Like they didn't. According to these screenshots that I'm seeing on just the, you know, on
The launch of Epic Games.
the previous one, it's like there's no reason. Like
Yeah,
I don't know.
there wasn't. Like I looked up after I finished it, because if you you remember the part with the like the dam you
Mm-hmm.
walk across, uh, not the not the big dam, not on top of the dam, the like down below, and you look out across the like lake, I guess, the lower lake
Mm-hmm.
at the bottom of the dam. Um, and you like look at towards the mountains, and like I pretty much like stared at that for a little bit,
Just taking in the view.
just taking it in because it was gorgeous.
So from what I'm seeing, just off the top of my head, the lighting effects on the Redux are significantly more dynamic,
Yeah,
which
I
is
think that
definitely worth mentioning because lighting effects is something that has progressed in the last decade an extreme amount.
yeah, that might be the like main change,
Yeah,
and
because
I think a little bit more fog too.
I think I think a lot of the base graphics are probably the same. Maybe the character models are a bit improved, but you know, not really a lot. Like the grass and you know, trees and various buildings, like they look similar from the screenshots that I'm seeing. It's just, you know, some of the nighttime, or I guess you could say otherworldly areas that you end up in.
Yeah,
Um they're like significantly more like ethereal. They look much better in like the fog, like you were saying. But
yeah.
I will say that uh maybe the first third of this game that I played, I was playing it on low because I was trying to mirror it to my TV that's in my office, and so that I could play it with the wife. And it was nonstop graphical issues. It was basically hiccuping every few minutes, or not minutes, but like every few seconds even, and
Mm, no
like
bueno.
a large amount of screen tearing and other like horrible graphic effects. So like the first quarter of this game that I played, just like like I didn't even experience any of the amazing graphics. But then when I played it, the rest of it on my own, it was fine on even high graphics. I don't know what the problem was even, but yeah, I was like, wow, that's like the difference is enormous between low and high. I will be the first one to tell you. Um, so music. Before we started this podcast, I mentioned music, and you're like, "Was there even music in this game?" And yes, there definitely was. Um, it was very subtle. As these things go in these narrative experiences, they don't
You do
really like to overwhelm you with
with
um
but ambient music is probably a good idea
but there's
usually.
a lot of like mood setting ambient music where it's like when you're walking from here to here, this track will play and you'll never
Mhm.
hear that track again. Or like if you go to the church, you'll hear the church style, like um I don't like I don't know if it's like operatic type music where it's,
Like yeah, like choir.
yeah, like choir music, while you're investigating the spot there that you didn't do. uh
Mm,
because as you know,
yeah.
we'll talk about it later, but you can certainly miss things in this game. um but yeah, and I think like in the mines, the music is very still and very quiet, and it kind of creeps up on you, and it makes you kind of look around your shoulder every second that you can, and gives you kind of creepy vibes. And um you know, going back to the House of Portals, that one definitely had a lot of violin music and
Oh yeah, I guess I did notice that. That one was I
yeah, I
was there
mean like
for a wee bit.
yeah, I also was there for probably too long. Um I like there was definitely quite a lot of sound design choices that were made in this game. Not to mention the voice acting was all like pretty top tier.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty good.
As little as it of it that there is, it's pretty amazing actually.
Mhm.
I would say it's one of the better voice actors. I like obviously I don't know any of the voice actors, but they all did a great job. They probably have been working and doing this for a long time. So yeah, like all the sound in this game lent to a greater experience in the long run, to be sure, in my opinion.
Yeah. I
At
think,
least.
I think I didn't notice the music as much because, I was in a Discord call with my friends, so
Oh, okay. Honestly, well, if you're
unfortunately
playing it by yourself, I feel like if you don't notice the music, that might be a good thing because it's
I'm
keeping you
getting used to
immersed.
that's the whole idea is, like, you're not supposed to actively notice it.
Right. Well, unfortunately for the music designers, uh, I'm the one person that played this game that is going to sit there
Who
and
is gonna
critically
sit there
listen for
and
that shit.
listen to the music,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Mr. Sound Design nerd.
I mean, if that's what I'm trying to do with my time, I'd like to know places that do it well. So,
Honestly,
mark
though,
this on the list.
I'm it's good that somebody does, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody like you have to have somebody that has a critical ear for this sort of thing, so that if you're setting the wrong mood at like the time when things should be serious and you are trying to make things like you aren't putting as serious as you want of music behind because music really whenever you add music or ambient music or other sounds to various times in a game like this it it's what's setting the mood. It's what's setting the vibe, the tone. If you put the wrong thing, it can shift it in all
Yeah.
sorts of directions.
Mhm.
And so, you know, you need to have somebody who really knows what they're doing in charge of, setting the correct tracks for the correct areas. Um, you wanna talk about like the very few gameplay mechanics that this narrative experience offers?
Um,
Like what
well,
the meat of the gameplay of this game is basically I really hate to simplify it so much, but like
uh,
essentially number
walk
puzzles.
walking?
Well, yeah, I mean, but like number puzzles, right?
No, yeah, it's like a number puzzle or, like a connect the dots, I guess?
Yeah, it's like a
Or
sequence puzzle,
yeah, sequence
which
puzzle, like,
like
find the find the correct
barely,
sequence of events.
which is I don't know, it's barely even can be called a puzzle. The more apt description of a puzzle in this game is like before you got to the sequence part is you needed to basically put things back,
Yeah.
which took me a really long time to figure out. Uh, which is like we spent like a really long time just like trying to figure things out
Really?
to begin with because
I
I'm
kind of
stupid
I kinda
and
figured that out immediately. You went to the train, right?
the
That was
like
the first thing you figured out?
the original like on the track on the bridge going through.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
like tram.
Yeah, no, I didn't do any of that.
Oh, really?
That's what I'm telling you. I missed so many things in this game that like
Hmm,
I was gonna say it later when we talk about the story. This game isn't made for me.
okay.
Like I missed. Okay, so
We
the
can kinda
important
combine
things,
gameplay and story.
the the important things that I missed were that starting tram story, right?
Okay.
The astronaut story.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, didn't go there. Um And then I didn't even go through the maze in the mines.
Oh,
I didn't even
okay.
I never found that
I
passage.
I was really hoping you would, not for the jump scare part, but for the like
The actual story part.
yeah.
Um yeah, and so those were like the three crucial ones that I just missed. I
Mm,
just walked past them. Like that's what I'm saying is like whenever this game says it doesn't hold your hand, it doesn't at
it
all.
really doesn't.
And like I guess well, all right. Let's talk about that right now. So, if I'm thinking of a narrative experience, I'm thinking of something like Firewatch, okay? What
Okay.
Firewatch did really well was it spurred you to look in a certain place. It didn't
Okay. Yeah.
explicitly handhold you along to go to place X, place Y, place Z because whenever I played it, I had a completely different routing and like experience than Catlegs did, right?
Okay.
But we played the same game. Whereas this game, I missed like a solid half of the story that it wanted to tell me because
Mm.
I just
Yeah,
didn't know what I was doing. You know,
you sure did.
wife and I were just we were just sitting on the couch like confused and like going through and like we're like wow that's a dead guy on some on some train tracks like that's crazy. I wonder what will the game will show us later. And then we just kept walking and the game just lets you do that, which is
Yeah, I
like
mean it does.
I I want to say like, oh, that's a really cool idea. Like it'll just let you miss things, but then you can't see the end of the game. Like you don't get a different ending, right? There's no
No, no.
alternate endings to this game. You
Nope.
don't get a different viewing. You don't get anything like that. It says you didn't beat the game. Now go back and do it. And I don't like that. I
Yeah.
I might be in the minority here for saying this, but I think that's a bad storytelling like mechanic. Um like I think that if you're going to be doing a something like this, the only thing that should be missable are parts of the story that don't matter or that are
Yeah,
enriching to the
probably.
rest of the story but don't like that aren't required to see the end of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we said before, you missed the graveyard and the
Yeah,
church,
that one doesn't matter.
but that one wasn't required for the end.
Nope. That's why I missed
Um,
it.
I'll tell you what happened there. They tried to trap Ethan in a mausoleum and then like essentially block it up with bricks, and
Okay.
he like stabbed the person putting the bricks up and escaped to the mine.
Nice.
Yeah, it didn't really matter. And then I guess like the person who got stabbed like bled out all over the ground, and you had to investigate that. And they were like there were like various like occult symbols all over the mausoleum and like sacrificial um like symbols, I guess.
Yeah.
Like to a crow god. It's very strange. Um but I guess like we were saying, not at all important other than
Not
like
that important, not required for the end, but I mean, for the story wise, if you
right.
deem it important, then it's probably important.
It was pretty enriching, but like not really like important. I don't know. I think that I think that if you're gonna have this sort of thing, you really can't trust the person to just like find everything. Um,
Yeah.
I am stupid. I know that you're not when it comes to these sort of things.
Well, yeah, because it was more like, to me, whenever I investigated the first thing, it was like you can try to investigate the body but it won't let you because like you need to put the pieces back basically. So I'm
Well,
like, "Oh, okay, well,
yeah, but that didn't click until like that didn't click until I got all the way to the graveyard, right? And then I was like, what does this piece do? And then I just like started playing with it until it did stuff. Whereas like with the body at the train tracks, I was just like, wow, that's a body.
Okay,
And then
well,
I investigated
I can investigate this.
Well, I
And it just doesn't
investigated
work.
it, and it's like, here's a shimmer, and then
It just
that
didn't.
was it. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, and then I left. Like, I will acknowledge that that is a failing on my part by not like
Kinda,
completely
because, like,
comprehending the gameplay mechanics that they've introduced.
if you didn't investigate anything else except the body and then just left, that's kind of on you.
Well, okay, so
Because
hang
there
on.
was several things there to investigate.
Well, okay, so hang on, right? Like, let's go through the very beginning of the game, because this will lead us into our story. But we're talking about mechanics and story at the same time, so whatever.
Yeah, kind of.
You walk in through, I don't know what, like a cave,
tunnel,
right? A
like
tunnel,
tunnel,
and
like
then you come out into a forest, and they call it like the Forest of Traps later. And there are traps, like you walk up something, goes wha bam, and it's traps, and you go through, and it's like you inspect it, and it gets all like glowy and woo woo, like, oh, okay, so what is that? And then you go to the next one, and it gives you another sliver, and I'm like, okay, so if we find all of them, it will do something. We didn't successfully find all of them, and the person I was playing with was like, let's just continue. Maybe it's late. Maybe we'll find it later, or like down the road. And so I was like, okay, that's fine.
Like, okay, there's these things happening, and it's making a sliver of like shimmer every time, and it's like, okay, well, whatever.
And so
maybe I'll find it later.
And so I left. Right. What else was I supposed to do? I couldn't find the last trap or the last few, and so I was like, okay, well, I don't want to spend like 13 hours walking around this forest, so I'm just going to keep going. And so I did. And then I got to the train tracks, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. Got into the little train and like messed around with it, and like, oh, I was like, all right, cool. And I got down, I'm like, oh, that's a dead person, and inspected, and it gave me the same little woo woo vision type thing that the traps did, but like obviously it was different because it wasn't slivers, it was just like it didn't open all the way, and I'm like, yeah, that's weird. And I just kept walking, looking around, looking down, looking up, and then I just was like, okay. And then we were like, all right, let's just go to the town. And so we just like walked forward, because I figured, I was like, this is probably just like the tutorial, right? Once we get to the gate, or once we get to the town, or the buildings, it'll be, the story will begin to unfold. That's how these things tend to work out. Meanwhile, I'm missing
you're already in the story.
Well, I've already missed like a third of it.
Yeah.
Like I've missed a solid, like 3 or 4 scenes just by walking forward. Like, what do you mean? That's insane to me.
It is. I mean, I missed the forest one, the traps to start too, but I had figured out like almost immediately at the train tracks that if you go down further on the train tracks instead of down the path, like the side path where the body is, it's like, it's kind of blocked, and like there's like stuff on the tracks, and then there's like a little hill with a rock on it, and it's like you can investigate that spot where the rock was.
Oh, okay, yeah,
and
no,
like,
so
okay.
We didn't go up that way, apparently.
That, and it shows you a vision of where the rock is.
Right. Well, and that was the other thing.
Immediately clicked in my head, and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to go find the rock and put it back.
So, there were multiple times where, okay, so like you can investigate, and then it'll give you like spinning words, and you're supposed to move your screen around.
I figured that out later.
I didn't figure that out until I got to the graveyard, and I only did by accident.
I did too, but the rock, the first time, I just found out based on where like what I saw. So, like, it was like next to the stump, and I'm like, okay, well, I know where that stump is, and I'll just find it.
Like, I don't know. I'm really torn between like the desire in me to criticize this game or this story book, this narrative experience, I like the urge to criticize it is very strong, to be like, no, you shouldn't give people this much freedom. However, the other side of me is like, they very clearly wanted to give the players this much freedom, you know? That's what they wanted to do. They wanted you to look around and gain the story by yourself.
To, like, find the story on your own.
It's just extremely frustrating.
No matter how much you missed.
Yeah, I just like, I don't know. It was extremely frustrating getting to the end and in the game being like, yeah, you missed most of everything. And I'm like, so you're going to make me go back and do it again? That's stupid.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't know.
Like, I don't know. For me, it was more like I got to the end and I'm like, oh man, I missed this.
Well, yeah, but like, so I am fine. Okay, so imagine a game where you are playing it through, right? And you are, you know, you're going through, and there's various stories that you can interact with and experience going through, right? And then you get to the end and it says 8 out of 10 stories viewed. Okay. I would rather have the game tell me 8 out of 10 stories viewed than you can't see the end. You can't see the end of the game because you only viewed 8 out of 10 of the stories.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be able to say, okay, I'll replay your game so that I can see 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know?
That's fair.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean, where it's like, no, you can't see the end. Oh, why? Because we said so. Oh. Because you didn't find everything we wanted you to find. Well, you weren't like, I didn't even figure out how to play the game until halfway through. That wasn't our fault. It's like, it kind of is though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to like put my failure off on them, but I kind of am. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a pretty bad player when it comes to this, but
to be fair, that comes around to the disclaimer they put. We don't hold your hand at all, ever.
I don't know.
So it's like they really took that to heart.
Yeah, like, I don't know, maybe a little bit too far, if I'm being completely honest.
Maybe just a bit, I guess. I don't know if you're
I am fully willing to acknowledge this game is not for me.
I guess not.
That is something that I am absolutely willing to bite the bullet on.
I mean, obviously, I can't say I found everything the first time either.
Yeah, but you said you only missed one, right?
No, I missed like 3 of them.
Which ones did you miss?
I missed the traps. I missed the tent.
Okay, the witches story.
Yeah, and I missed the I didn't miss the mines. I did that.
I was gonna say, so there was I think in order, there was the traps, there was the astronaut, there was the witches tent, there was the old gods, there was the
portal
house. Yeah, the House of Portals, that's 5. Definitely. And then there was the dam. But there wasn't one on that side, was there, that was necessary?
I don't think so.
There was one more, because I think there was 6 in total.
Yeah. I definitely did the House of Portals and the Old Gods. I really think you should have done the Old Gods too, but well.
I mean, I didn't. That was the one that I did not go back and do. I went back and did the traps and the astronaut myself, but I watched the video because I'm like, this is. I'm tired.
While I was doing it, I'm like, because when I first got to the House of Portals, I'm like, I read the paper out loud because, as I said, I was on the Discord.
Yeah, you were on Discord call.
So I read it out loud to my friends, and because it was in a
made-up language. Probably not even Latin.
Whatever it was, I read it out loud, and it was kind of funny because some of the words were,
I mean, it's a spell. Well, I was with the wife, and I was just reading it out loud, and she's like, "That's a spell. You should stop." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay."
I knew it was a spell, and I still read it out loud.
I was like, "Yeah, you're probably right."
This will happen if it happens. If it doesn't, well, whatever. But yeah, the House of Portals was neat though. I really liked that puzzle.
That one was cool. I watched the
maybe I only did miss 2 then.
Okay, so the Old Gods is obvious. It's definitely the most intriguing bit of the game.
Yeah.
So
because once I saw once I saw that weird language, I'm like, oh, are we dealing with Cthulhu here? Or?
Kinda.
And then when I got to the ancient gods one, it's like I saw that they were talking about a sea creature, and I'm like, oh,
definitely.
It's Cthulhu.
Yeah, it's definitely Lovecraftian in nature. Well, okay, so like just going to the gameplay aspect of that particular section of the game. So, from what I gathered, having not actually played this portion, was it's a maze. And then you have to go through the maze and find each corpse.
Yep.
In order to access or to activate them, basically.
For them to stand on the correct combination.
Right. And then you change the combination on the wall, and then once you get the correct combination, it opens. However, once you're going through the maze, there is a spooky dead guy, I guess. I think he was like a sailor or a miner, probably.
I don't know, but
that
he was walking around
if he
with a
caught
lantern.
you, he would take you back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Which is, obviously that's like props to the makers of the game. Like the most well thought out portion of actual gameplay in the game, right? A portion that's not walking simulator was that mining portion or that mine portion.
Except when you're walking through the mine, it's long.
Yeah. I mean, did you not find the minecart?
No.
Okay. There's a minecart, dude.
I know there is. Listen. What happened was when I got to the mine, I looked around and, did the little bit, because I'm like, okay, I need to find the pickaxe. Gotta put the pickaxe back. Couldn't find the pickaxe, so I walked down the end of the mine.
All the way?
All the way to the
end
of the mine, outside of the mine. I'm like, okay, so this is the next puzzle. I'm gonna go back because obviously there was the side area where the ancient god is.
Mm-hmm.
So then I did all of that. I did the ancient god before I did the elevator thing. And then I came back. Because I figured out how to start the minecart, and then didn't figure out that you need to slam the minecart into the rubble.
Through the rocks, yeah.
Yeah. So I did that after I had walked the mine twice.
I see.
And then I put the pickaxe back and did that and did the elevator thing and everything. So, but I thought the Minecraft only took you so far anyway, or the minecart only took you so far anyway.
It takes you to the end.
Because technically you need the minecart to pick up the pickaxe. I think I might have
that's true.
After I did all of that, I still walked it back again.
I found the minecart immediately, and I just drove it.
I did too, but I backed it up and then left it there.
Oh. So
and didn't slam into the rocks the first time?
I did the portion with Ethan's mom, and then it was like he said something about boiling water, and so I drove down and found the boiling water, and I'm like, oh, this must be the next portion, and just went there. and didn't even go in the other place.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened.
I think when I finally moved on to the next portion, I still left the minecart and walked.
Although knowing that there was going to be a jump scare portion, I was basically crapping myself the entire time I was in the mines. Being a big scaredy chicken, like big huge scaredy pants person, I was definitely crapping myself the entire, because I'm like, when's it gonna happen? Where is this place? And then like I'm walking through the water, I'm like, am I gonna get grabbed? What's happening? And then I left the mines and I was like, oh,
this is fine.
Okay.
I'm not going back there.
Whatever, dude. Okay, and then I left. And then it was like, oh yeah, you can't do that. But okay, so gameplay aside, story. I'm going to earmark this area. Everything after this is going to be spoiler, because I really want to talk about the ending. Yeah. All right. So spoiler alert, this is your chance to leave. If you don't want the Vanishing of Ethan Carter to be spoiled for you, please exit out or skip to the very end. Yeah, you're being warned. 3, 2, 1. Okay, the ending. What did you think? I need your opinion about the ending before I talk about it. Go ahead and describe what happens, and then give me what you thought.
Well, what happens is, you come back to see Ethan's like point of view. You're in this room with, well, I guess, yeah, you see Ethan's point of view.
Right.
You have your whole family around you, and your family is like, oh, come up to eat for dinner, but you're down there in the room, like scribbling on the walls,
right,
etc., etc.
And then
your mom accidentally breaks the lantern, and the whole place goes up in flames.
Right. And then you like, I guess it's like purposefully at first trap yourself in the room to run away, and then after you realize like, oh wait, this is a bad plan, you try to leave and you can't.
Yeah, because there's fire everywhere.
Right. And then it proceeds from there that they're like trying to get you out, and they fail in doing so, and then it like zooms out heavily, and then the game is over.
Yeah, that's it. They're like stopped at trying to throw buckets on the fire.
Right. Okay.
And that's it.
So
Credits.
I will fill in like a tiny bit of context, and then we'll talk about the ending. So the tiny bit of context is your character throughout the narrative portion of this game is a detective, an occult-minded, as they say, occult-minded detective, known as Paul something. I don't remember the name exactly.
I don't remember his name either.
All I know is that you're playing a detective, and you're like, yeah, Ethan is like, he like called me or something, and it's gonna be my last case, and like gruff voice, gumshoe type noir type thing.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of the game, your family members, some of the rougher, your older brother, whose name is Travis, I believe, is like making fun of you the entire time.
Yeah. Because Ethan, he is like,
he's a
making
writer.
Up these stories.
Right. He's a creative. He's a writer.
Yeah.
And
like,
so
he's a kid though, so his family is like,
they kind of make fun of him for it.
Yeah, they get your mind out of reality, get your head out of the clouds, and go back to reality, and et cetera, because
I think what they're trying to like put across there is that like this is a mining town, right? So it's really small, and there's like a handful of people that live there whenever they lived there, right? Because obviously during the game you don't see a single human being.
Other than in the visions, obviously.
In the visions, right? Corpses, I suppose. But it's pretty liminal. You find out that it's this like mining town, and so like there's not very many people, and the people are like they're down to earth, they're salt of the earth type people, like these type of people are not the type to where, like, if you wanted to do, like, the thing you wanted to do was right, like, they're not gonna be okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna call you like a sissy boy if you don't want to go out and, you know, smash rocks all day every day. That sort of thing is what I gathered from that bit. Which is why, you know, it's definitely is like interesting because like the older brother calls Ethan like the F slur, and you know, the dad is like, he's not that, he's just a little different, relax. And then Ethan like locks himself in the room. So the thing that is crucial is that they talk about the story that he's been working on all day. The reason why he missed dinner was he was writing the story of the character that you're playing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
This is where it gets really, really awkward. And I, having looked at the Steam reviews, you know, the Vanishing of Ethan Carter is got very positive, 1,000. 86% of the 1,118 reviews are very positive. I go back to the other one, 6,597 user reviews are very positive. 87% of those are very positive. I mean, okay, this is where I'm going to be in that 10%. I don't like this at all. I hate it. Okay? And you like feel free to disagree, because from the beginning to about 95% of the way, the storytelling is fantastic. Yeah. It's glorious. The last 5% is just this horrendous rug pull that I hate. It is the antithesis of what I think is good storytelling.
The Vanishing of Ethan Carter was the end of, you know, when the whole house burns down and Ethan Carter is basically suffocated to death.
Right.
Or burned.
Well, I mean, a little of both, but yes. So, like, all right. So the rug pull is none of this actually happened. And you go, what do you mean none of this actually happened? It's like, yeah, none of this actually happened. You didn't do any of the things. Nope. Like, you weren't a real character. You were just imagined.
That's the rug pull. But I think the none of that actually happened is kind of like they do that with all the stories throughout the game.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But it's the one that, like, as the detective is the one that's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Now this is like definitely a surface. It is potentially a surface level read of this. But I don't like it. I think that the story, if you were to draw it in a full circle, the story of the Vanishing of Ethan Carter is I think it's like a parable of a person who was basically bullied by their family, and a person who is like, they don't get along with those people that they should love in their life. You know, mom, dad, their mom has a problem with their creativity and their stories, and, you know, their older brother thinks that there's something wrong with them because they write instead of being a big tough guy. Like, that's the reading of that. But, like, to me, you can still write that story without doing the thing that they did at the end of it, right?
Yeah.
They could have very easily written that story and presented us with that story without this fake character that we're playing, and then just like rug pull us at the last second. I don't like the fact that they do that. Yeah. Oh, by the way, you don't exist. Or, oops, it was a dream the whole time. Or, oops, this was actually the subconscious happenings of a child who was suffocating to death, and you died. Like, what? Why? Why is that something that you feel like you have to do for this story? You don't. You know? Like, you don't have to do that. You could have made something that was extra supernatural. You know, you could have made something, you could have played this whole thing straight, you know, with the stories of the like elder gods or the sleeper or whatever. You could
Yeah,
have done that.
Yeah.
But you didn't. You just decided to throw it all away at the last second. Like the kid dies thinking that his family hates him, which is not true because you see them at the end like instantly
like
grieving,
trying to throw buckets
of water and putting themselves at risk to try and go and get him out of that room. It just turns this like bullied, mentally unwell by his circumstances kid in like, it basically like puts him in a scenario where he like accidentally commits suicide because his mom did a thing. And like that just feels so bad. Like, am I reading this wrong? I don't understand. Like, are there 5,000 other people, 10,000 or 100,000 other people that read this like better than I did? Where like the first thing that I think of whenever I watch this story is like you just copped out at the end.
I mean, yeah, I felt just like sad and kind of, you know, like, oh shit, that he's just dead, huh? Okay,
yeah.
Great.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I should have
alone and perishes.
I guess I should have like let you
feels bad, man.
Let you like
No, not you're good. It's you. I mean,
well, I guess I don't want to.
That's basically what I felt is like it just kind of it just happens. Like you do all this and then you're like, okay, well, it's gonna be a fine ending. You know, they're gonna go. I don't know. I didn't really care about the whole, you know, your character doesn't exist thing. It was like, oh yeah, it's just a story, I guess. Whatever. The kid's got a creative mind, and then they just like he dies.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, technically we don't know if he dies because like.
I mean,
he's still alive.
He's
still alive when they're throwing buckets on the water. Who knows? It's
I guess
a pretty
that's fair.
large fire. The water might do something. Who knows? They could get him out of there in time. You don't know. But essentially, it's like, oh well, he's just sitting in there, and his like, yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, it's really awkward. I feel like
it is.
I feel like I'm missing something because like if I'm looking at all these reviews, all the people that say they didn't like it were like, I found the puzzles kind of annoying and I got bored because I couldn't find where to go. And like that's not what I'm criticizing the game on. Everyone else that's giving it a positive review is like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing story that I've read in a long time. It's so good. Everything is so beautiful. What a beautiful story. And I'm like, no.
I mean, it was, but the end wasn't.
Like, no. If it was a story that was like, okay, so a better way to end this, in my opinion, maybe. Obviously, you know, I'm just a guy on the internet. If you wanted to actually show the vanishing of Ethan Carter in the form of like story that he wrote, ending, right? And the ending was something happened to him, right? Why don't you just actually make it so that he ran away? Right?
Yeah.
Where like you're going through this town of these like shifty, cagey characters in like the mom and the dad and the uncle and the grandpa and the older brother, where like you have to investigate each one of these people, and at each point in the story you find these pages of handwritten stories like you did in the game that we just played.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you experience these stories because you're an occult-minded detective or something, right? You completely omit the fact that you're a fake person. Throw that away. That hurts your story just get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
You're a real person now. And you just happen to have a really, really creative mind as well, and you're looking for this kid who's gone. He's just gone. What happened to him? Maybe one of the stories suggests that like the older brother killed him, right? Maybe one of them suggests that everyone is mentally ill, like it did that we watched, that we just played.
Yeah.
Maybe there are stories that are
maybe
suggesting that there's something weird going on, that there's some weird like otherworldly presence in this town, like we just looked at.
maybe
All of these things are true.
This was the developers like the twist that they decided to do.
Yeah, but like I hate twists that completely undermine like the entire story that you just like put your effort into making. Like the stories that end with "and then I woke up" are the worst stories, no matter how good they are, from 0% to 95% or 99% even. If you get to the end and the last line of the story is "and then I woke up and everything was all a dream," I'm angry at you.
It just takes everything that you like had read up to that point and just erase it.
Yeah. Like, I'll give you an example. There is a book series that I read. It's 5 books long, right? 300-page books.
Oof.
A few of them are longer. They're like, I think the longest one is like 500 pages, right? These are some of the most amazing story building that or world building in a book that I've read in a while, right? Extremely unique. They have like, I guess you could say like American country in like deep country where it's like poverty stricken type world of I don't even know, like many hundreds of years ago, like where it's like you're living off the land type people. And then like another type of people are these like desert dwelling, I want to say like Muslim inspired, but like actual like if you were living and breathing in those places, and like mashing them together and being like, this is the world, right? All these great things, and then giving it a fantasy twist with like magic.
Yeah.
Great. Character like growth in these these stories, just amazing. You're going through, every book is building on the last. You're getting more character development, you're getting more world development. The characters in the main character is like growing in strength slowly in each book, and like adding people to his party, and like weaving through all this, and you get to the end, and the two characters they've been building up this whole time have a conflict, and then the main character says, I'm just gonna go alone, because they're supposed to like travel to this one place to eliminate the ultimate evil, essentially. Like, it's one of those type of books. He's like, okay, I'm just gonna go alone, and then he does, and everything that he has been doing for the last 4 books, not counting the first one, because that's like how he gains his powers. Mm-hmm. Everything that he's been doing for the last 4 books meant nothing, because he could have done that right after he gained his powers. He didn't do anything that he just learned. He didn't use any ability that he just developed. He didn't develop something new on the spot because of this conflict. No, he used a technique that he could have used at the end of book 1, and he defeated the great evil because he felt like it at that time. After friends died, after sacrifices were made, after like countries and cities and towns were burned out of, because like he had to defend them against this, after like many hundreds of pages of story, he just decides to end it because he got into a fight with his best friend. Like, are you serious?
That sounds...
It's the same cop out as something like this, where it's like, and then I didn't know how to end it, so I just decided to do it like this. What? I don't know.
Like, it's not even like he learned like Avatar style, where he learned something a different method of doing it, you know?
Yeah.
He just, let me just like punch you or something.
Right.
Let me just use the first technique I learned when I got my abilities.
Yeah.
To just kick your butt.
I don't know. I say that as like an example of like, this is a narrative storytelling device that you should avoid at all costs.
Yeah,
don't make something not real at the very end as a twist, because
it's not a good twist.
It's not a good twist. I don't know.
Yeah, that I agree with you there. That sounds like it sucks.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe
I guess
maybe all the
I mean, I didn't really notice that as much because I was more focused on the fact that Ethan was stuck in a room currently suffocating.
Well, and so maybe all the people that reviewed it well, they didn't really think on the ending like that. And that's fine. Maybe they all walked away like you did and was like, this was really cool. I liked it a lot.
You're not real, but
it was beautiful. The story was gripping. Look at all these little interesting things that the game showed me, and then they just like left it there. They didn't think upon it too deeply.
Yeah.
And like maybe that's fine. But like
it was more of the 95% of the story kind of like overshadowed the end, basically.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I think you need to have a good ending. A
strong
good story
end is a good.
Yeah. Even honestly, like even a moderate ending, even an okay ending that doesn't undermine the rest of the story is fine.
Yes, what you're saying is not the ending we got.
Correct. Even if it was just like
and you wake up ending.
Even if it's just like, wow, and that happened, and that was the end. You know what I mean? And not like, and nothing ever happened. He's actually in a burning building right now. Is like anything but that.
Yeah, what they could have done is just the same, but like instead of saying that your character doesn't exist, it would be because you come across as your character, you come across the burned building anyway to get down to the basement with the like art on the wall. Just leave it at that.
Yeah.
You found out the vanishing of Ethan Carter. They're all dead, or
Yeah, that's fine.
Either the family left after they got out of the house, they couldn't save him, etc. That's how it was solved. He suffocated.
Yeah, that would be great.
The room.
I would be like, that would suck. Like, wow, I'm pretty sad now, but like
that's how he vanished.
There's nothing wrong with making a story that makes people sad.
I mean, they did that as well.
Yeah.
They did both.
I'm not really feeling sadness. I'm more like, it's more like disappointment. But
yeah, it was more for me. It was more sadness because, as I said, the fact that he was stuck in that room kind of like swept the fact that your character doesn't exist under the rug a little. Because it was more like, it was like they say, because the scene starts with like saying that, this is blah blah blah. I'm actually just a figment of the kid's imagination as well. And then they're just like, they start talking, and it's like, okay, well, I'm listening to this now.
Yeah.
And then the house burns down, and etc.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. Do you have anything else to say about this game?
I don't think so. I think we covered it pretty well. The graphics are amazing. The story, like up till then, was pretty good.
Yeah, the ending leaves a lot to be desired.
Gameplay it was all right.
Yeah. It did what it needed to do.
The House of Portals was a little.
I mean, I'm not even really mad about the House of
Portals.
No, I'm not. It's
fine. I'm gonna say it was a little fun, but like, it was definitely a good puzzle. I agree. Yeah. I like that. I liked it because it was like you had to find out which room goes where, and you could find that out by going out of the small hut, out of the small like shed or shack or whatever it is, into the big house, and like looking to see what rooms actually went where.
Or you could just brute force it, like I did.
I mean, you could brute force it, like I tried to do, and I'm like, and I'm
I just
for now. And then I looked into that house, and I'm like, Oh, okay. And then I like looked through the house thoroughly.
Yeah.
And like tried to memorize as much as I could. Yeah. And then like the few rooms that I didn't remember, I brute forced. I'm like, I think it's this one. And you get a few like wrong tries before you reset.
Yeah.
So I used those and I got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good puzzle. That's probably my favorite one.
All right. Well,
rate it out of 10.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your number?
I'm gonna say 7. 7 out of 10.
All right. I'm gonna give it a 4. And the reason I'm giving it a 4 and not lower is because it really was good until the very end. And yeah. I don't know if I can justify would I recommend this game to people? Maybe. But I'm not going to give it like a 9 or an 8 or a 7 personally.
I give it 7 mainly because of the graphics, but like the ending kind of was meh. Was kind of sucked.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's if you say like the ending doesn't bother me that much, that's totally fine.
It didn't really affect me all that much.
Yeah, and that's totally acceptable. I know that I'm a stickler for these type of things. It definitely pushed the button that is my big bugaboo.
That's totally fine. You're the one who's like more of a stickler for stories than I am. Yeah. Me, I never know what is considered a good story or not a good story. You know, I enjoy what I enjoy.
Yeah. So that's
7. The graphics were great. It's pretty much what we did most of the numbers there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, like you said, you didn't really hate the story as much as I was irritated by it, but yeah. Anyway, I think that is it. Our next game is called Guacamelee 1 because there are 2 of them. And we're going to play the second one after that, but we're going to play Guacamelee 1 first, and then we're going to play the second one second. And that's going to be it. All right.
All right.
Thank you for listening. Until next week, have a good one.
Bye-bye.